All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, all glory, all honors unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elder bishops, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the 144,000. Rest of the hopeful elect out there. This is your brother, the priest, Zion from GMS Atlanta. Back with another edifying video. This will be a Motb update. Going into the digital ID system and the coming implant technology, as well as the image of the beast. So this here from biometricupdate.com, and it reads, QR-based digital ID drives transformation in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Unique QR code serves as gateway to public services. Now, let's look up this word Khyber. Khyber P. So this is Khyber is a province of Pakistan. And as I've said before, you know, going through the different articles and updates, for the longest now is different countries around the world are setting up and shifting to digital ID systems, which is the infrastructure, or what they call the digital public infrastructure that the Motb implant will utilize. Okay? And, you know, you got to keep on top of this. You know, I do my best in the spirit of Yahweh Shai to stay on top of this information and to filter it through the scriptures and, you know, through the lens of the truth or the gospel and what it means for the hopeful elect out there. And this is from July 11th, 2025. So within the last day. So let me read this. It says the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan is taking broader moves toward digital transformation with the launch of the Khyber Pass digital identity system, Pakistan's first QR-based ID platform. And as I've said before, these QR codes, which are becoming more and more of a common thing. The next step is to take this technology and implant it in your body. Remember, when you read the prophecy in Revelation 13 and 16, it says that they're going to put the mark in your hand or in your forehead. But they have all these other digital means for you to access data back and forth. So just a QR code. So it says the program, which is linked to NADRA and designed for biometric integration, demonstrates a rising emphasis on digital government, transparency, and citizen-centric services. And see, this is what, you know what, let me do this, because this is what we mean when we say that the Motb is going to be more than just buying and selling. Okay, everything that the mark is tied to is going to be tied to what services you use, you know, your job, you know, your whole way of life is going to be based upon having that mark. So this is Revelation 13 and 16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, which is Esau, Edom, and his number is 666, and that's the number that he's going to tie this system into. The barcodes, the UPC codes, and it's going to be through the act of piercing and injecting a device under your skin. Now, the key point that I want to get out of these verses, beyond verse 16, is verse 17. and that no man might buy or sell. Meaning what? You would not have any way to interact with society. Okay, now this is talking about purchasing, commerce, but anything, whether it's accessing your license records, your health records, everything will be tied to you needing to be a part of this digital identity system. Okay, so let's go back here. It says complementary measures, including digital skills training for women, and World Bank backed infrastructure projects. Now you notice this World Bank ties back into what buying and selling, because it's the merchants of the earth, or the international banking families of Esau, Edom. They're the ones that are setting this system up. It all goes back to money. Okay. There's a famous saying, when you're dealing with, when you want to discover who's behind funding for anything, is follow the money. Okay, when you follow the money, it goes back to these international central banking families, which we know to be the Edomites, who the world knows as the Illuminati, or these different secret societies. But they're the ones that fund these things behind the scenes, even the governments and presidencies, including Trump. So it says, complementary measures, including digital skills training for women and World Bank-backed infrastructure projects, are helping to bridge the digital divide in the region. So that means the elites have a hand in changing what's going on in Pakistan, changing them towards a digital society. These initiatives represent a concerted attempt to unleash inclusive growth through digital public infrastructure. And when you hear inclusive, that's speaking on the poor in that region. See, a lot of countries are not as advanced as America, where everyone has so-called equal opportunity to get jobs, education, if they put in the right effort, capitalism, so forth. We got a lot of countries that are based on certain cities that have done, they have central banking deals, or they've done they've built certain infrastructures for citizens, major capitals. But a lot of these countries have rural areas where people aren't linked into any kind of healthcare system, job system, or public welfare system. So they're just out living in the wild, so to speak, off-grid villages. So what Esau is using the World Bank and these other groups and agencies to do is to go around the world in these different countries, fund them, and give them, what they call the opportunity to include all their citizens in what would be a system that would benefit them all. All right, but we know truly that it's just about Esau, as I like to call him, a damn supervillain trying to take over the world. Because that's initially what his plan is, to take over the world and include everyone in his New World agenda. Okay, as a matter of fact, when you go into the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, Habakkuk 2, it speaks on this. So this is Habakkuk chapter 2 and 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. And this is speaking on the wicked. Okay? And Esau, the wicked, has been lifted up, but he's not upright. He's not a righteous person. It says, but the just shall live by his faith. And those of us of the just, the righteous elect of the Hebrew Israelites, we're going to have to live by our faith in these times, as Esau is doing his best to achieve his New World Order through whatever means. You got a situation in Philly right now where trash is piling up, 911 is not available, So they're putting it in like a chaotic situation, purge-like situation, to where they are not able to receive help or call on anyone. So that is alluding to what's known as order out of chaos, because once the chaos ensues out there, then that's when they're going to bring in the order, but the order that they want. Okay? And actually, Philadelphia, that ties into, I wasn't going to get into it here, but I'll probably just go ahead and do that. And because that ties into what's known as a C40 city. You know, you got 15-minute cities. You got something also called C40 cities. But let me read this here. Let me finish this up. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yeah, also, because he transgressed by wine. Now, the wine is speaking on his philosophies, his way of life, his way of thinking, his MO. Okay? He is a proud man, because these Edomites, they think they're proud because they think that their way of life and their way of thinking and what they deem right for society is the best way. It says he is a proud man, neither keepeth their home. And wherever they go, they bring death and destruction. And this is going to explain it here, right? But they go everywhere. They're I'm reading about Pakistan. There's other countries. There's Africa. They're in the Middle East. Okay, they don't stay in their homeland, so to speak. Okay, they have to be around the world fucking with people. And that's the best way I could put it. A white man has to go around the earth fucking with people. So it says, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. And we know that this man is bringing death wherever he goes. Somewhere, if it's not now, then later, there's going to be some kind of civil war, some kind of coup, some kind of war breakout in these countries. And who swoops in to save the day and say that they're coming to bring peace and democracy and order? The so-called white man, these Edomites. Because that's how they operate. Like I said, their MO. It says, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. How is he going to heap unto himself all people? This mark here, the Motb, Revelation 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, all people, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. So you're going to have to take this this mark, this implant, and no matter your social status as a person, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're in prison, whether you're free in the world, you're going to have to be a part of their digital ID system. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you won't be able to being a part of a participant in society without complying and taking the Motb implant. That's the ultimate goal. Okay? So they're over here in Pakistan and they're bringing this system. It says the Khyber Pass Digital Identity System. The government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa has recently unveiled the Khyber Pass Digital Identity System, Pakistan's first QR code-based digital ID platform. The system, which is integrated with NADRA and other government databases, enables citizens, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to access identity-related services online without having to repeatedly provide personal information. Every citizen is assigned a unique QR code. See, now it's a QR code. The next is going to be the implant. All right, so we're one step closer to the MOTB. That's why I call this the MOTB update. Okay, that serves as a single gateway to public services. So if you don't have this unique QR code, then you won't be able to access these public services. Like I said, you're going to eventually have to have that mark to buy and sell. It says every citizen is assigned a unique QR code that serves as a single gateway to public services like education, health, taxation, licensing, and property records. So everything is going to be tied to that unique code, that number of the beast, which is eventually going to be tied to an implant. Okay? And that's the main thing with this. So now the next article here, and this is out of the islands. The islands. St. Kitts and Nevis to issue over 25K national digital ID cards in 2026. So they're using cards, they're using QR codes. Okay, let's look up St. Kitts. St. Kitts Island and St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a vacation spot, touring spot. Search the web. St. Kitts Island and St. Kitts and Nevis. Here we go, overview. St. Kitts is the largest of the two Caribbean islands that comprise the nation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the tribe of Benjamin, okay, in the Caribbean. Okay, see also St. Kitts and Nevis, Tortola, St. Thomas, St. Lucia, St. Martin, Antigua, all these islands. Island groups, the Antilles and Lesser Antilles. What country does St. Kitts belong to? The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And you have a lot of our people that are in those Caribbean islands that are of the tribe of Benjamin. So they want to issue out national digital ID cards. This is a worldwide thing. This digital ID project is a worldwide thing. It's a worldwide movement. It says the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Honorable Dr. Terrence Drew, has stated that the country's national digital ID project is far advanced and on good footing, meaning that a government plan to issue more than 25,000 cards to citizens and residents in 2026 remains very much within reach. So they're definitely moving full steam ahead with this digital ID system, which is part of the MOTB system. Drew was speaking early this week in a nationwide address in which he laid bare government's multi-sectoral plans geared toward meeting the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And this is a part of their plan, the UN, the United Nations, doing what? That's Esau heaping to himself all people, like we read in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, and advancing the country's national growth and development agenda, which is really Esau's agenda. All right, but these leaders, them being tied to Esau and doing these deals, that's benefiting them. In his address, the PM, Prime Minister, said all technical equipment needed for the ID system had passed factory acceptance testing in Taiwan and will arrive in St. Kitts and Nevis by October, with installation expected to begin immediately after that. This is what they're doing around the world. They're getting everything ready for the MOTB. The digital ID system is being developed in collaboration with Cybernetica, which Drew described as the Estonian firm. And I did a video about Estonia. They're also setting up for the Motb in that country that's over there in Europe. So it's the same people doing the same thing, and in Taiwan. Okay, it says the Estonian firm behind the world's most advanced digital government, Taiwan's International Cooperation and Development Fund, is also a supporter of the project, which really means that it's Esau's money being funneled through these governments to set this up. It says an IDEMIA will provide its technology for the ID card chips, enhancing the ease of doing business. Oh, what? Buying and selling. Isn't that what the Motb is about? Buying and selling? Enhancing the ease of doing business in St. Kitts and Nevis is essential to attract investment. We are therefore building a smarter, more efficient government, one that works for you wherever you are, whenever you need it. That transformation begins with our national EID system. In 2026, we expect to issue digital ID cards to over 25,000 citizens, unlocking a new era of secure, convenient access to public services. Let's read that again. Revelation 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, right? You won't have access to these public services, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So we're here. We're seeing it. Okay, we're seeing it. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure what happened to the article. Okay, so let's see here. And it's all being tied into these government services, which our people depend on the government. All right, Jake, Israelites, our people are heavily on welfare and all of that. Okay, along with Edomites here in the U.S. are also on it, but hey, a lot of them could be, Jake too. Just because you get statistics and say the so-called white people are also on welfare and maybe at a higher rate than blacks now, those could just be Israelite foreigners. But this is the point: we all, in some way, shape, or form, need access to government services. But if you don't tie into this digital ID system and eventually get the implant, then you're going to be SOL, as we used to say back in the day. Shit out of luck. It says a national digital payments platform is also part of the country's digital infrastructure development agenda, the PM also said, adding that it is being developed by the Inland Revenue Department, once again being tied to money and, you need money to run a government. It says in partnership with the Accountant General's Office, the Ministry of ICT, and supported by legal vetting from the Attorney General's chambers. This platform will be the digital gateway for paying taxes, renewing licenses, and settling government fees. Phase 1 is already in testing and will go live by mid-2026, making government transactions more accessible to every household and small business in the Federation and our diaspora. According to Drew, these digital infrastructure projects are part of a broader effort by the government to eliminate bureaucracy and improve public service efficiency. Part of the Georgia Guidestone rules, which was blown up a few years back here in Georgia, was get rid of petty officials. Well, this is a part of that system because they're not going to need these petty officials and lawmakers when they set up this AI digital ID public infrastructure system, doing away with paperwork and certain things, bureaucracy and all of that. They're not going to need it. Doing away with certain departments. That's why Trump is doing that here in the U.S. They're setting up the same thing, but they're calling it a different by a different name. Same program, same plot, plan, and scheme, but a different name. To eliminate bureaucracy and improve public service efficiency and support a responsive and inclusive government, right? Because they need what? All citizens, small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to have access to this digital ID system, and eventually they're going to move over to microchipping people, making sure services are accessible anytime and anywhere, especially by citizens abroad. Right, so that's them selling you the convenience of it. Okay. Now I mentioned about something known as C40 cities. Matter of fact, what I was doing was let me see. Let's see if I can go to youtube.com here. And I was watching this video. I was going to kind of make this a different video, but it's all an update on the Motb. So the Common Sense Show. I think that's how you spell it. Right, okay, the Common Sense Show. And you can watch this guy here. But he just recently put up a video. Here we go. Cbdc stablecoins. Let me click on this.
Hello, America.
Right, Dave Hodges, CBDC. So you can watch him, subscribe to him. He puts up a lot of good videos. CBDC stablecoins, as you can see here, the Motb is being implemented by the banks now. What he was doing was he mentioned about something called the C40 cities. Let's see if I can play some of this. And this is fair use, fair use. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm just sharing information. Okay? This isn't medical or financial advice. I'm just sharing information. Okay, so let's see if I found the right spot.
Powell went on to say, we didn't reach a decision whether we should digitize the dollar. And that was the phrase he used, digitize the dollar, CBDC. That's a lie. And their meetings are held in secret, so we have no way to confirm. But let me tell you how I know it's a lie. If you go to JP Morgan and even more demonstratively,
Yeah, he's speaking on the U.S. eventually going into digitizing the dollar and setting up CBDC. Um, Now, let me say this. CBDC, central bank digital currency. He also mentioned in stable coins here. It's not the mark. It's not the Motb. But you will need digital currency in order to use the mark. The mark is the implant. Okay? They're going to inject under the skin the biometric implant, which they're already doing now with Neuralink in the forehead, but they're going to put them in your hand. You got companies such as Dangerous Things, Wallet More, Positive ID, and there's more out there. But the mark is the implant. But in order to buy and sell, and in order to do your transactions, your taxes, and pay your fees to these digital identity systems, you're going to need digital currency. Okay? So let's listen to some more of this.
if you go to
Oh, let's see if I
Citibank,
can put on some the captions here. Okay, here's the captions. Uh,
they're tokenizing customers' deposits as we speak. Today, they're tokenizing. That's the first step into
right.
CBDC.
When he's saying tokenized, he's talking about digital ID. I'm sorry, digital currency. It's basically turning your dollar into a token, a digital token. You know.
The other thing that I've talked to people about is this with CBDC. What's really interesting about CBDC is this, and this is so fascinating. Um, they're implementing it in the FAST and the SWIFT system. They
Okay,
came
right.
out
Okay, the fast and the swift system. Okay, the fast and the swift system.
if you remember last year, they came out and said, you know what? We've got a really nice system called the FAST system. And this FAST system won't make you wait over the weekend to be able to have check clear funds. You'll have the money available to you instantly. That's the selling point. That
Right now, so I looked this up as well. It's called the fast system. Right. So it says in the context of funds clearing, the term fast system isn't a universally recognized or standardized acronym. However, the World Bank's project, right? The World Bank's project, remember, we was just speaking about the World Bank on the other articles, okay? It's tied back to the elites and their digital banking system that they're trying to set up. It says frictionless, affordable, safe, timely transactions aim to promote and support the implementation of fast payment systems globally. So this is what he's talking about here. Fast payment systems, FBS, are systems designed to enable near real-time fund transfers between financial institutions operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. These systems offer several benefits for speeding up fund clearing, real-time availability for funds, unlike traditional payment methods like ACH or checks, which can take days to clear. Right here it is. You work a job, and they put in your time. From your hourly wage, um, and then the bank has to clear it. Then by the end of the week or 2 weeks or monthly, you get your check. This is going to make that happen a lot faster. FPS makes funds available to the recipient almost immediately. So this is why they're setting up things like the FedNow service. Examples of fast payment systems include FedNow service, United States. And we had spoken this years ago. This goes back to what, 2022, 2023? And this is when that situation happened with around the time when the Cash App founder, creator, owner, um, he was killed? He was taken out, and people were scared, about what was going to happen with Cash App, and then they started to put in the law about if you do business on these apps, then you're going to have to be taxed a different way, file a different form. They have it in. They also have the clearinghouse network in the U.S., faster payment service in the U.K., Pix in Brazil, immediate payment service in India, Pay Now in Singapore. So it's a global thing. So they're setting up the system. Now I was trying to find where he was speaking on the C40 cities, only because I mentioned Philadelphia earlier, and they're going through this 911 services out. Matter of fact, let me get that too. Um, 911 out in Philly. Let's go to news. So this is from 4 hours ago, 16 hours ago. CBS News: 911 outage reported in Pennsylvania caused by IT issues, sources say. Which, brothers just did a few videos on it. It's we believe that this is all a part of the staging for issues like a purge. They're already dealing with a heavy trash situation. So now it says 911 restored in Pennsylvania. So yeah, I just wanted to get to the news and see what happened here. There was a strike as well. I didn't know that. Judge orders Philadelphia 911 dispatchers to return to work amid strike. This is from a week ago. And then, as of yesterday, there was a outage, a statewide 911 outage. mm. So now let me go back here to him. Let's go.
It's the catch where they try to get you hooked. Then the next thing that they do is, because they have control over the process, they can say, okay, this is now worth this much and you can cash it right now. That's the first half of CBDC. It's already being implemented both privately, okay, in the JP Morgan and mostly Citibank. And now it's happening through the FAST system where they're slowly implementing it. But what of
Okay, so let me see something. I want to go back to the way he speaks on these cities. Okay, yep, here we go. Here we go. Let me go up some.
talk about how he's lying. Now, I want to make sure when we talk about central bank digital currency, we're ultimately talking about mark of the beast. The Bible says you will not be able to buy or sell with.
Right. Ultimately, the mark is going to be the mark is going to be the implant. But on that implant, you're going to have access to your banking information, your banking account, which is going to utilize digital currency, central bank digital currency, and it'll be interoperable with the different countries around the world. Even if it's BRICS, even if it's other countries in Africa, everything will interoperate together. That's why they're setting up this digital ID system around the world. They're going to know who you are, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. So that's how they plan to say that they're going to eliminate fraud. They're going to eliminate potential T risks. It's going to be the Motb is going to be them saying that now the world can be at peace. But what does the scripture say about peace? When they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction. Okay, it says in the book of Job that the Lord shall rain their destruction upon them while they are eating, meaning while they think that they've achieved their agenda. The Lord's going to destroy Edom and his power structure, starting with America. So let's listen to a little bit more of this.
About taking the mark. And it has to do with your money. And it's digital. And we've heard people talk about with the C40 city crowd. But when you're in
Right, the C40 city. I didn't know about the C40 cities.
the C40 cities, and you can't have meat, you can't have dairy, you can't drive your car, can't travel, okay, can't. Okay, then they also say if you're out of compliance, if you violate your caloric.
Right, if you're out of compliance, compliance goes into obedience. Let me do this. Let's go back to the scriptures. Revelation 13 and 15. It says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak. This is what we're seeing form in this system now. With this the digital IDs, the CBDCs, 15-minute CDs, the C40 CDs that I'm gonna show you. It's all a part. It's all a part of the image of the beast. That the image of the beast should both speak and it's all under the system that was set up by Rome thousands of years ago. This is the Roman Empire, uh, hell, 2.5, 3.0. I used to say 2.0, but this Rome is becoming digital now. This fourth beast, and we're at the end of the fourth beast, the end of the fourth empire. It says, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast, if you don't comply, ultimately should be killed. Now, when you look up this word for worship, in Revelation 13 and 15, okay, proskuneo,
Strong's G 4352. Proskuneo. Proskuneo.
proskuneo. I said proper derivative. I'm just looking at the etymology on the right, meaning to kiss, like a dog licking his master's hand. Yeah, when you worship, you're showing that that the elites are your masters. You know, like a dog. It says to kiss the hand towards one in token of reverence. Right. So this system is a part of when you get the Motb, you're ultimately saying that the elites, the banking families, and this digital system, AI, that's your guide. They're your rulers, your leaders over the Heavenly Father, and that's why we warn about the Motb so much, because if you take it, you are basically saying that they're over you. But we're supposed to have only the Lord Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, over us. So it says here in the New Testament, by kneeling or prostration, to do homage to one or make obeisance, whether in order to express respect or to make supplication. Strong's definitions, meaning to kiss like a dog licking his master's hand. Who's the masters? The elites. To fawn or to crouch, literally or figuratively prostrate oneself in homage, to do reverence, to adore, worship, right? The worship of the image of the beast. So it says to make obeisance. So when you look up this word obeisance, it takes you back to, it says deferential respect, obeisance, respect, bow. Let's search the web, obeisance. They paid obeisance to the prince. Obeisance, similar, respect, homage or homage, worship, adoration, reverence, veneration. What does obeisance mean? To bow to your superior. Which it'll take you to obey, right? Right, so obedience and obey are related but distinct concepts. While obedience originally meant obedience, it now typically refers to a physical gesture. Right, it's a physical gesture, but what are they doing? You're not going to be physically bowing. So it takes you back to obey. Is it obedience or obedience? Right, obedience is the physical, right? Here we go. Obedience emphasizes the social hierarchy, while obedience emphasizes the authority figure's power. Obedience can be a symbolic act, while obedience is typically a practical action. So what are you doing? You're obeying the elites. Okay? And it says here, obey signifies compliance with rules or commands. So if you don't obey, if you're not in compliance, because we don't physically bow down to our rulers, you sit here and you bow. Uh, Even though you might have somebody like the Pope, and you have somebody come and kiss the ring and they'll bow down, that's obedience, right? But if you respect that person and you give them obedience, you'll obey what they say. You'll comply with what they tell you to do. Okay? Right, so they're related, right? They're all related. It's all related ultimately to the compliance and the worship of the beast system. Okay?
Restrictions that are sent to you by text every day. Okay, can't. Okay, then they also say if you're out of compliance, if
Right,
you
if you're
violate
out of
your
compliance, if you don't obey to this system,
restrictions that are sent to you by text every day, if you violate that, well, then your funds will be seized.
they can take your money ultimately, and if you're a threat to them, they can put you to death. In Revelation 13:15.
What Trudeau did with the Ottawa truckers and anyone who supported them. And I said that was a beta test for CBDC, and it is. And the people did not react the way they should have. There should have been hell to pay in Canada for doing that. But nonetheless, people are just laying down, taking their beating now. Powell went on to say, we didn't reach a decision whether we should digitize the dollar. And that was the phrase he used, digitize the dollar, CBDC.
Right. So now let's go into the C40, the C40 cities. So it says C40 cities climate leadership group. C40 cities climate leadership group is a group of 96 cities that represents 1/12 of the world's population and 1/4 of the global economy. Created and led by cities, C40 is focused on fighting the climate crisis and driving urban action that reduces greenhouse gas emissions and climate risk while increasing the health, well-being, and economic opportunities of urban residents. Right. So who's in charge now here in the U.S.? Who's in charge of the health department right now? RFK Jr. And what did he say about citizens? In order to get them healthy, he wants them to have wearables, which would track what they do, their heart rate, all of that, because that ties into the C40 cities. Okay, that's going to tie
90.
into their global agenda for carbon emission reduction and all of that. Because basically, and then look at this here. It says from 2023, Mayor of London Sadiq Khan and Mayor of Freetown Yvonne Aki Sawyer serve as C40's co-chair. Former Mayor of New York City Michael Bloomberg as board president. I didn't know this. And Mark Watts as executive director. All four work closely with the 13-member steering committee. I wonder why they're using the number 13. Right? Ties back to the elites. The board of directors and professional staff. The rotating steering committee of C40 mayors provides strategic direction and governance. Steering committee members include London, Freetown, Phoenix, Medellin, Copenhagen, Paris, Dhaka, North Nairobi, Kenya. What's going on in Kenya right now? Got major riots breaking out over there in Kenya. Tokyo, Rio de Janeiro, Montreal, Milan, Seoul, Oslo, and Hong Kong. It says C40 is also positioning cities as a leading force for climate action around the world, defining and amplifying their call to national governments for greater support and autonomy in creating a sustainable future. Now, when you go into these different, and it says the C40 was started in October 2005. When London Mayor Ken Livingstone convened representatives from 18 megacities to forge an agreement on cooperatively reducing climate pollution and created the C20. In 2006, Mayor Livingstone and the Clinton Climate Initiative. See, all these, they're all juiced in. All these presidents, all these established movers and shakers in America and around the world, they're all juiced in together. Led by the efforts of former U.S. President Bill Clinton, combined to strengthen both organizations, bringing the number of cities in the network to 40, and helping to deliver projects and project management for participating cities to further enhance emissions reduction efforts. Right. So if you, and what this guy was saying, or saying in the video, Dave Hodges, what he was saying was, your everything about you, your whole digital identity, will be tied to a digital system that will monitor your climate emissions, carbon emissions, and if you go over your limit that they assign to you each day, then they can cut off your money. They can, keep you from going outside. They can keep you from doing anything they want. Breathing all the white man's air. That's basically what they're saying. From breathing all, they're going to keep you from breathing all the white man's air. See how devilish this man is? So when we tell you the white man is the devil, we really mean it. He's really trying, okay? And I'm talking about the Edomites, the white people whose line goes back to the Edomites, which are these elites, these top banking families, starting with them at the top. They're the devil, and they're trying to lead everyone into pretty much death and destruction. That's why the scripture says that unless the elect was delivered, and the Lord made the days short, and there were no flesh be saved. And I'm roughly paraphrasing. That's Matthew the 24th chapter, because this devil has an agenda to try to be like the Most High. That's why he calls himself. They call themselves the Illuminati, Lucifer, because they have the light, but the Lord's going to put their light out, pursuant to the book of Job. Spark of their light shall not shine. All those different scriptures. They're just like I read it in Habakkuk 2, they are as death. But when they implement this system, everything will be tied together. The C40, all these different C40 cities are going to be tied to individuals and what carbon emissions that they emit out. And if you go over, then they're going to shut you out. Now I want to get to these cities. You got membership. They got mega cities, innovator cities, observer cities, member cities, and this all ties into the 15-minute cities as well. Okay. So you got the different cities in Africa, East Asia, Europe, South America, North America, and these are all of the different C40 cities in America. You got Austin, Texas, Boston, Mass, Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Los Angeles, California, Miami, Florida, New Orleans, Louisiana, New York City, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C., of course, Washington, D.C. And it's all going to be monitored. All of this is going to be monitored by what? Palantir. This is where Palantir comes into play. See, this is why, when you watch these GMS videos and we go into the Motb and we go into these different intricate organizations and agencies and these new terms and things that are all tied together, it gives you a bigger and broader picture of the image of the beast that's emerging. This is why we warn you about the mark. This is why we tell you, if you take it, that is going to be you worshiping Esau, Edom, the beast, and the Lord's going to destroy you. Because especially those of us that have been warned, and those of us in this truth, you're being told to not take it. Why? Because we should be worshiping Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It's more than just no man might not buy or sell. You won't be able to do anything without the mark. That's why it's important. This is the next major prophecy to come to pass. So let's read the judgment and then I'm going to close. So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and 9, doom for worshipers of the beast. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship, right, if you comply and you take the mark, right, you do your obedience, you obey this system, the beast in this image, and receive his mark, their implant, okay? Once the implant, the biometric RFID NFC implant, once that is made mandatory and you take it, then you're going to feel the wrath of the Most High. If any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Verse 11, and the smoke of the torment ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Because you're doing worship and you're obeying this system, this world, Esau, and you're being tied into this digital ID system. You took the implant. Then what need do you have of the Most High to provide for you? So verse 12, here is the patience of the saints. The saints are the Hebrew Israelites and the Israelites only. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if the Lord ain't dealing with you, you're not a saint. Okay, here are they that keep the commandments. Christians don't keep commandments, so then it's not talking about them. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh, not God, Yahweh, and the faith of not Jesus. These are just English translations. They're not names. You got to call them on their Hebrew names. If your name is John, and then you go to another country, and just because the version of your name is John Bond, that's not your name. No, my proper name is John. No matter where you go, LeBron James is LeBron James in whatever country he goes to. They don't give him a new name. They might give you a title, but a title is not your personal name. He's still the King LeBron James or NBA champion LeBron. His name is still LeBron James. Same thing with the Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh. He is God, the Most High. But his name is Yahweh. It's not Jehovah. It's not Yahuwah, nothing. It's Yahweh. So here are they that keep the commandments, Israelites. So the Bible's always still talking about the Israelites. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of not Jesus. Okay, his title may be anointed, right? They call him Christ, but his name is Yahweh Shai. So you have faith in Yahweh and in his son, Yahweh Shai. Because that is who is coming to deliver us. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And if you're of the elect, then you will receive that. If not, then you're now the elect. And you're going to take this chip, you're going to take the mark, and you're going to get the wrath of the Most High. And you're going to be destroyed. When you read verse 10, that destruction is going to come via nuclear fire. It's not hell. Ain't no way you burn in hell and die. Okay? You err not knowing the scriptures. You don't know the Bible. There is no hell. You got Israelites teaching hell. There is no such thing as hell. Christian church is wrong. Okay? Hell just means the grave. When you die, you're under the earth. You're dead. Your body's dead. But your spirit returns to God. Read Ecclesiastes 12:7. It tells you. Somehow the Christian church just skips over that scripture, I guess. But it's all about dogma. They're taught to teach a certain way. They're not taught to teach the actual Bible. They're taught to teach a specific doctrine that universally grabs everybody for deception. Whether the pastors know it or not, it's still deception. So if you take the mark, the Motb, which is the implant, then you're going to be destroyed. Those of us of the hopeful elect, we're going to keep our souls, be patient. We're going to continue to keep the commandments with the Israelites, and we're going to have faith in Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, and hopefully endure to the end. But first, before the wrath, before the nuclear destruction comes, the mandatory, the great implantation. The hour of temptation has to come on the earth when they make the RFID implant, NFC implant, Neuralink implant mandatory. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. I know this was a long one, MOTB update, but that's the update. Hey, we're coming down to the wire, man. We're coming down to the end of this system. And this prophecy is the next major prophecy to come to pass. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. All praises goes to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, B'Hashem Rakah Kodash, which is the name of the Heavenly Father Yahweh, and the name of his Son Yahweh Shai, and the name of the Holy Spirit. Shalom. Peace. Shalom.